Hundreds of thousands of mostly foreign tourists flock every year to St. Petersburg, one of the world's most beautiful cities. Almost all of them use credit cards to pay everything during their stays. And Russian economy benefits from that a lot. But 2014 Western financial sanctions potentially threatened that income too, as well as every Russia-related transaction. In order to prevent potential disaster, Central Bank of Russia was forced to step in. Russia is pushing forward with China in creating an alternative for the SWIFT system of international payments, along with establishing domestic credit card. Maybe it appears to be a matter of national pride, but in fact it is a struggle for preserving stability of Russia's financial system. These measures should shelter them or just minimize effects of possible perpetual Western sanctions. Governor of Russian Central Bank announced just recently that Russian SWIFT replacement is fully operational and ready in case Russia is cut off from that international money transfers clearing system. But it is not just the SWIFT. In 2015, Russia launched its own Mir credit card, and its creators are not hiding their close collaboration with the Chinese colleagues.
Our interest to our Chinese partners from UnionPay as to one more mature and developed payment system is through so-called co-Beijing credit cards. That system allows us to secure for Mir cards to be accepted in those countries where UnionPay is already accepted. On the other hand, our Chinese colleagues can increase those co-Beijing cards' emission of UnionPay cards on the Russian market.
And here it is, first joint Mir UnionPay credit card issued in Russia. Having its own credit card system, Russian users of plastic are not in danger if some further eventual sanctions hit Visa, Master or any other Western-based card system that operates here.
Our bank has some 16 million active cards, from which some 1.6 million are MIR cards. It's 10%. At this moment in our country, there's roughly about 220 million cards, and only 10 million of those are belonging to the MIR card.
It is expected that by the year 2020, Mir card will hold about 50% of Russia's card market.
At this moment, it's not too many, just a single-digit figure in percents, but we are confident that the potential is very big because we expect a mass crossing by the customers to MIR credit card, government employees in the first place, and without a doubt the majority of clients will use them, and it's important for us to provide them the best service.
Bankers and retailers are ready for Mir, and hoping that with a little help from China, they'll hit the world ATMs as well. Alyosha Milenkovic, CGTN, St. Petersburg.
After tensions escalated in Ukraine in 2014 and the subsequent Crimea crisis, Western countries imposed heavy sanctions on Russia. Their aim was to force Russia to follow their lead in Ukraine-related matters. In the beginning, sanctions hit the Russian economy hard, but were unable to force Moscow to change the country's course. Now, 3 days later, the Russian economy is quite different. CGTN's Alyosha Milenkovic met those in Russia that have been impacted.
One of many cars this morning that negotiated unpaved road at the outskirts of Russian town of Istra. Its occupants are heading to the one of Russia's recent small economic wonders. It is cheesemaker Russian Parmesan, a brainchild of former Muscovites Oleg Sirota. When 3 years ago Russian President Vladimir Putin imposed a counter-sanctions on some of the Western agricultural products, Oleg decided to sell his small software company, apartment and all belongings and started this business.
Russia made a U-turn in its development. It went in a very different direction. It became the country I was dreaming about when I was much younger. This is amazing when your dreams are becoming reality, and I feel lucky that I'm living in this country.
In the beginning, Oleg produced only 2 kilograms of cheese per day. Now it is 330, and with plans for further dramatic expansion. And here in Moscow, this is one of 6 shops that are selling Oleg's cheese. Demand is 2 to 3 times higher than he can produce. One of the ways how Russians are battling sanctions is economic patriotism. It is not just about starting domestic production of things that weren't produced here before. It is also about buying everything that has the label "Made in Russia." This is the way how Russians do support those bold entrepreneurs like Oleg Sirota. But Oleg is just one example of how sanctions are affecting Russian economy. Back in 2014, Aeroflot's low-coster Dobrolet went bankrupt after the EU sanctions were imposed on it for its alleged role in the Crimea crisis. Instead of hundreds of people ending up jobless in the street, just months after, Aeroflot's management successfully started a new low-coster, Pobeda.
Pobeda has delivered a net margin, a very important net margin of 3 billion rubles in the second full year of operation, so in 2016, has retained a pace of growth in 15 of over 36%, 16 over 15.
Back in Russian Parmesan, Oleg is saying that he is praying every day for sanctions to last as long as possible, because, as he said, they do have a very positive effect on the Russian economy. A claim that even analysts are supporting.
The sanctions hit Russia almost simultaneously with the large fall in oil prices. And according to our estimates, the effects of the drop in oil prices were almost 4 times as high as that of sanctions. So when we talk about stabilization of the Russian economy, yes, indeed, it is stabilizing. We have seen return to growth. We have seen indeed, ruble exchange rate stabilizing.
So, it looks like that thanks to the enterprising people like Oleg Sirota, Russian economy is at this moment out of the woods. Aljoša Milenković, CGTN, Istra.